Paperback writer.
This is Joe Peroni, and you are listening to the From Grief to Relief show. We are heard live on VegasAllNetRadio.com every Thursday between 2 and 3 p.m. You can also find actually all of our previous shows archived on the website. So I want to welcome back my partner in life and on the show, Heidi Mancini.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Joe. How are you today?
I'm good.
Yeah?
I've had a fun week.
I have, too.
Yeah, so what's the big news this week?
I'm not sure. There's a lot of good news to this week.
Yeah, because you know...
You're walking better. Your hip is better.
That is the big news. So the update on my hip. How am I doing?
You're doing awesome.
How did I do just earlier today, I should say?
You were wonderful earlier today.
Yeah, like, what are you talking about exactly?
You know what I'm talking about. Humpty Dumpty.
Well, I can get into
Hump.
I can get into like different, better angles now, right? Without having it hurt.
Yeah.
And I can get a little more angle or push.
Yeah. Yep.
So, it's kind of like, I don't know, what do you want to call it? It's kind of like, with that new angle, it's kind of like knocking on a screen door a little bit.
Knocking on heaven's door.
It's kind of like bottoming out.
Yeah.
Before I couldn't get... I don't know. It must feel different to you.
Yeah. It's great.
I guess so.
Yeah, it's really good. No complaints. And you're walking better, too.
Yeah, it's much different with after the surgery.
You're doing a lot better.
Pretty good.
Like this last week, I would have to say you're making a lot of progress.
Yeah, so speaking of sex, you want to hear about what happened with one of my friends a while back?
Yeah.
So, speaking of going a little extra crazy.
Yeah.
So I had this friend, but we're going to put him to the side a second because it's not really about him. It's about his girlfriend who was cheating on him. Mm-hmm. He found out that, they were cheating.
Yeah.
This is how. So she had this, instead of leaving the house and going somewhere else, she had this guy that she was cheating with come over the house.
That's kind of dumb, huh?
Yeah, well, you figure you get it over with and be over. No. She was a little extra, let's say, I don't know, energetic, let's say, and she was on top.
Yeah.
So she's like going up and down. And you know how like some guys curve a little bit more than others? Well, she came up a little too high and came off of it, and then came back down and hit right on the top. And did you know this happened? She actually broke it.
I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, well, it's not like a bone break, but you break all the blood vessels and stuff. You know what happens? It like bleeds a lot.
Oh my God.
So there was blood all over the sheets.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And so so think about this. Your husband or whatever, boyfriend, is coming home soon.
Yeah.
And now you have a guy there who's obviously in a situation.
Oh my gosh.
And there's blood all over the sheets. So now you got to call an ambulance.
Oh my God, that's awkward.
So the moral of the story is don't cheat.
Don't cheat.
Yeah. So in the background here, I've got the Jurassic Park soundtrack suite. And no, I'm not a big fan of the music here. Well, I like it a little bit, actually. It's John Williams. But the reason why I have this back on our background today is because this is my tribute to the Republican Party. Because obviously over the last week you can tell that they've been living in the past, and if they continue to act like they're acting, because they obviously don't seem like they're learning anything from the election, they're going to be extinct, just like the dinosaurs are. So that's why I've got the Jurassic period here. So let's also honor all these red states that have consistently voted Republican. And if you look at the facts, they've consistently voted Republican since 1964. Think about that. So you got to think, okay, why is that?
Yeah.
So I looked it up. So what do you think happened in 1964 that turned all of these states Republican since then? Here it is. It was the Civil Rights Act of 1964. So giving black people rights, that's what switched all these states over to say, F you, I will never vote Democrat again because you gave black people rights. So if you want to answer the question or think, are these states racist, and do we spend millions of dollars on these elections when in fact these people are racist idiots? Answer the question, are they racist?
Yes.
I'll answer it. The answer is yes, you are. So that's why I'm playing this Jurassic Park in the background for you today. Anyway, so let's get to a little more personal things for this week. Well, not that the sex wasn't personal enough, but
yeah.
Okay, so after the election, I know you have some Republican friends. So tell me how much of a hard time you had this week.
Well, I've been getting in trouble all week. I've been having debates on my Facebook page because I made a remark about President Obama and how he's going to go down as the best president in American history, TGIF. And I had my girlfriends, a couple of my guy friends, supposedly friends, got on my case. They're Republican. And then, of course, I had a couple of my girlfriends get on their case. And it started a whole barrage of attacks. I think the thing that aggravates me about it is that they can say whatever they want all the time. And I didn't even attack anybody. I didn't say I don't like Romney. I didn't say Republicans are stupid.
Well, let me go back and say it. All you said is he's going to be, basically you said he's going to be a great president, period.
Yeah.
So you didn't put anybody down.
No.
You just said the leader of our country that we're all a member of
Right.
is going to be a great president. That's all you said.
That's all I said.
And that brings hate.
That brings hate. But the other thing I don't like is that they're bringing into this whole argument this war stuff and the military. And, they think, as far as I'm concerned with the military, and that I don't think you're very patriotic if you're putting the leader of the country down. They're hiding behind the military thing, some of these people, and saying because they serve their country.
Let me add one thing. Not just the leader of the country. That's also, if you're in the military, that's your boss. Mm-hmm. That is the commander-in-chief. And when they do put down the country, and they don't like other people for being government workers, I'm sorry, but if you're in the military, you are a government worker. And when you get your paycheck, it is from the United States, paid for by me.
But what I want to know,
I'm a taxpayer,
is when people sign up for the military, they sign up because they want to serve and protect their country, and a lot of times they also do it because they're getting free education after they serve their time. So what I want to know is, I don't agree with us being in these other countries in war. We've been in war for over 30 years on and off with one country after another. So they keep blaming Obama for us being in war and spending money. Let me finish. And I lost my train of thought, but
you're saying that these Republican friends you have are blaming Obama for being in these wars, too.
For being in the wars. But my thing is this. With that being not said, when you sign up to be in the military, my father was military for 25 years. He retired that. And his biggest thing all the time was, when you sign up to go in the military, you have an oath. You raise your right hand up and you say that you'll protect this country and you'll do whatever you need to do by serving your country. Same time, these same people are complaining about that they have to go over to these different countries to protect our country and different things. So what I want to know is, what are you in the military for? Did you think about that you may be called to war, that you may be called to bear arms, that you might get killed, your friends might get killed? I mean, I feel bad for all these people that have been killed in Afghanistan and Iraq. My brother has been over to Afghanistan twice already in the last 4 years, and he proudly does it.
Absolutely.
So my thing is why the last week I've made statements about Obama, all this military stuff comes into this argument, and nobody ever answers my questions, or nobody ever stays on the issue.
Well, I'll throw in a little bit. Number one, they see the world through this very small, narrow hallway. And when they're conservative, that's part of the definition of being conservative. It means that you only see things one way. So let me throw it in quick. Like you said, your father, as you've been saying a lot, he's liberal. He also served. But when a lot of these military people, they think that because they're conservative, everybody in the military is conservative. That's not true. They just had the numbers come out. In Virginia, there were just as many Democrats in the military that voted as for Obama. So it's about 50-50 these days. During the Republican National Convention, Romney did not even thank the troops. And they always go rah-rah for the military until they get hurt and when they come home. And then they don't care about their health then, do they? Well, then they just throw them out like trash. And it's the Democrats who come in and want to help them. So
they say, well, you're not supporting our military. You're not this. Well, first of all, what is me making a statement about that the president is the best, right? He's going to do a great job have to do with whether I believe in military, whether I believe in war, I don't believe in war. Those are again, my personal views on that. Also, and when you're unpatriotic, another thing is if you live in this country, sorry to say, but when you make statements about how our country sucks and our president sucks and everybody sucks and whatever else you want to say, you're bearing arms and you have to protect yourself and have water and all this nonsense that they're talking about, you're unpatriotic, and that would be considered treason. You know, you in another country, you would be shot for making remarks like that.
Well, in a sense, you're aiding and abetting other countries. When you're in the military in the United States and you're bad-mouthing the United States and the president at every chance you get. But also, let me throw in, too, because when these Republicans see things only one way, first of all, let's go back about 10 years. The reason why we're in Afghanistan and Iraq is because Bush wanted us there. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't be in Afghanistan. I believe in that war. The Iraq war was ridiculous. That was an illegal war. But it was Bush. It was the Republicans who did that. Now, let's remind these people who is getting us out of these wars and who won those wars.
Okay, but here's another thing,
Joe.
Joe.
Democrats.
Most of the Republicans never served in the military because I don't know what war this was. I don't know when it was, but they a lot of the senator. There's a song that CCR sings. It says, "I'm not a senator's son." The reality of it
Fortunate son.
The thing of it is that the rich people, their sons never went in the military because they were protected by their money, that they never had to serve in the draft. I don't know if it was the draft or what, but I remember my dad talking about that too. That a lot of those rich sons and a lot of those rich people, they never had to serve in the military.
Right. The military, and they like to use this word, entitlement programs and stuff. Let's be honest, the military is an entitlement program for rich people because they never fight it. They don't have skin in the game. And that's true.
Yeah, okay.
But it's paid for by everybody. But the people who die in those wars are the middle class and the poor.
And my dad, he used to say, we don't belong in these wars. It's, he used to have his own opinion about, that whole thing over, because he was in two. And he used to say there was another way of, the Americans got involved in things that they shouldn't be. But he never badmouthed the president, and he never did what these guys are doing today. And I just want to know, what are you in the military for? Are you just in there for an education? Because unfortunately, you will be called to serve and do your job. That's your job.
Well, see, you've had a tough week, huh?
Yeah.
There's people all over your back.
Well, not only that, on these women's issues too. Talking about rape and rape and it's bullshit.
Well, let me throw this one in too, because I know you had your friend who wanted an honest answer of why you would vote for Obama, and you gave like a 10-point, very thought out, well documented piece. And she never answered.
Yeah, but that's what I'm telling you. She never answered me. But the other thing is,
so you lost another friend.
I lost another friend. But the thing of it is, this whole debate thing is whenever you challenge a remark, they never come back and answer that remark. They come back with some totally stupid shit that I don't even know what they're talking about and has nothing to do with what we were even.
They don't either, because they see the world through Fox News. And Fox News, they don't understand Fox News is not a news organization. It's an entertainment bureau for conservatives. And it's also bought and paid for. So the thing is, if you look in other countries, let's say, take Canada, for instance. Canada banned Fox News. Why? because there's lies on there. There's complete lies. There's no basis of fact on anything that they say. So what I'm saying is that what they're following, what they say is the news. And they really, you got to understand, it's not what we think. And it's not what's true. It's what their perception is. Their perception is that it's real. They are watching fake news. They might as well be watching Saturday Night Live.
Okay, well here they talk about all this crap in other countries. There was a statement made about how these countries they're buying this, they're doing that, they're talking about getting themselves armed up. Well, so what? The Americans, we talk about our political views and we talk about what we're doing. Does that mean that we're going to be going into war? Does it mean everything that they say is true? Because half of what we see on the news isn't true.
No, with other countries being prepared for war, that's what they're supposed to do to defend their citizens.
Exactly.
We think we're the only ones who are allowed to have a gun. That's ridiculous. That's stupid too. But that's the way they see the world. They see the world as their little world, Fox News, and nothing else.
True.
So let's take this from a counseling position for a little bit, all right? Just because I was thinking about all this stuff. Okay, from a counseling view, Republicans, they're absolutely in total denial of what happened just about a week ago. And they're minimizing the will of the people. So let's get this straight. This is reality therapy, okay? We had a vote, and Obama won, okay? That's simple. Yep. Number two, the Electoral College scoreboard reads Obama 332, Romney 206. Okay, repeat this. It was an absolute what? Say it with me. Landslide. There's no debate here. And that equals 2 landslides in a row. The people have spoken loudly. Oh,
one more thing I heard this week, too, was somebody made the comment, well, Obama's followers voted for him, all the minorities, and this person said the minorities would include Mexicans, blacks, and white women. And the guy's looking at him, punch him in the face. And that was his comment, well, all the minorities voted for him.
And why is that wrong?
That's what I want to say. Why is that wrong?
The Republicans are old, angry white men. That's the basis of it. So, do you want to hear the rest of my counseling theory?
Yeah.
See, I would hope that some of the Republicans could hear this, but they would have to drive their car. They have to drive their houses a little closer to the station to hear me. Because most of them have mobile homes.
Get
it? Okay, that's 98.
I gotcha.
That's 98% of them. Okay. Now, this is actual fact I'm going to give you. There's been plenty of studies done on the human brain. There's an area called the anterior cingulate cortex. It detects conflicts between old beliefs and new information. That's why these idiots don't understand things like, global warming, or that Hispanics actually have a vote, or women are not barefoot and pregnant and they're allowed to vote. See, that's new information to them. They can't understand that. It also allows individuals to acquire new information, to think before acting, and to make educated, rational decisions. This area of the brain, when developed, it allows people to be open to new experiences, and get this, wait for it, it's to have actual emotion and empathy for others. Okay, now I was thinking about this, because I'm trying to be a nice guy here. I don't want to rip people all day, right? So as an empathetic person, right, maybe we shouldn't be angry with Republicans. What do you think?
Why, because they can't help it?
Well, I'm saying, maybe I should be a little more understanding, because scientifically speaking, Republicans have a part of their brain that's undeveloped. And sure, like you said, they're idiots, they're angry, they're infantile, they're self-centered, they're uncaring, they don't understand facts, they have social learning disabilities, but they can't help it because, and this is true, they are brain damaged. Going by science, they are brain damaged. That's an actual fact. Now, brain damaged people rarely get much better. So that is why right now you're seeing all the stupidity. You're seeing denial rather than taking responsibility and making corrections. Right? That's what an adult does. They see something that goes wrong, they make a correction. But see, what they're doing right now, they're buying more guns.
Yeah.
And they're getting more verbally abusive. And you already hinted at this. According to them, they lost because of the urban vote. Okay, that's the dog whistle. Urban means black. say it.
Well, it's just say I'm a prejudiced. I don't like anybody.
And they were surprised that their voter suppression didn't work. That's what they're angry. They also said people voted because they want free things. Free things like, get this, student loans. Listen, if you ever loan something to somebody,
it means
it's
you pay
not
it
a
back.
gift. It means I owe the I owe like $56,000 for my education at the University of Phoenix that I have to pay back when I graduate, like in 2 months. That's not a gift. It was an opportunity. There's a big difference between a gift and an opportunity.
Okay, a gift would be like a rich person's son that's able to be paid for his school, his cars, his houses.
Right. Ask your dad for some money.
Ask your dad for some money. That's a gift.
And here's some other news for them. The red states, the Republican states, they have more people on welfare and on food stamps than the blue states do. So they're lying there too. And the other thing that they said too, I think is funny, is that they need the Hispanic vote. So they thought, well, they're going to run this guy named Marco Rubio, as a Republican presidential candidate in 2016. Why? Because he's Hispanic? Listen, Hispanics aren't stupid. They don't look at a name and go, ooh, it has an O at the end.
Yeah,
he's Hispanic. Let's vote. Oh, let me finish. He's not. Hispanics are not going to vote for a guy because he sounds like he has a Spanish name. Well, they're going to vote for him because of his policies. Period. End of story.
Well,
They're
look
not
what they did
stupid.
with Palin. They put her in there thinking all the women would vote because she's a female. Well, half the women can't stand her because she's not a...
Right, because women are offended by the fact of because she has a vagina, you think other people with a vagina are going to vote for their girl.
So, yeah.
But she's an idiot. She's stupid. She's never read a book, and you're not going to put her in a position of power.
Right.
Simple. Republicans are about as dumb in the Jurassic Park. There you go. They will be extinct if they don't start getting any better. All right? So let me try to sum this up a little bit here. In lieu of having a higher learning and an emotive center of the brain, the Republicans are led by what is called the reptilian brain. There you go, back to Jurassic Park. The reptilian brain. It's called the amygdala. Okay, it's a real part of the brain. This part of the brain detects threats. It does this by fearing and distrusting anything new or ambiguous. You can see this in, like, animals, like a cat, right? Like, if you move, like, a knick-knack in your house 3 inches to the left, a cat will walk in and go, oh, my God, what's that? My life is in danger. That's what a Republican does when they see a Mexican walk into a restaurant or their community. Like, oh, like the music in the background, they think it's like this crazy thing. Like, I got to do something about it. Where's my gun?
Right.
It's also this area of the brain, the reptilian brain. It is correlated with lack of empathy. It's also correlated with acceptance of inequality. Oh, yeah. Did you know that they never voted for the Equal Rights Amendment for women? They never voted for equal pay for women? Oh, okay, I get it. And the Civil Rights Act of 64, they basically said F you to the country, and most of those southern states will never vote Democrat again.
No.
They accept inequality. That's part of their brain. I don't know if I should be, that angry at them. They're just born that way. Who's it? Lady Gaga?
Yeah.
They were just born that way. I have more. They also have a preference for a strong leader to tell them what to do or think. That's why a lot of them do go into the military. They like that rigidity. Tell me what to do, sir. And they like, that's the way it is. And that's just part of that brain. So here it is. The take-home message that people need to know about the reptilian brain is that you may be in their crosshairs if you have a different skin color, eye shape, lifestyle, or have a vagina. Basically, not all Republicans are reptilian-brained psychopaths. That's true. But you can say this. Every single reptilian-brained psychopath is a conservative.
Yep.
And that's backed up by fact. We're gonna take a little break here. We're gonna play some music. We do want to have a little bit of an existential theme like we do in a lot of our shows. So I'm going to play a Norah Jones song. This song is an existential song written by Bob Dylan. Another word about Norah Jones. She was asked who she would want to have sex with if she could have sex only one more time in her life. Who would she have sex with? Her answer was Angelina Jolie. I like her even more. Okay, so let's get to it. This song that I'm going to be playing, she sang it at Steve Jobs' memorial service. Steve Jobs developed the iPod, the iPad, iTunes, and iMac. He died on October 2011 at the young age of 56 years old. His contributions and his essence will definitely live forever. This is Norah Jones playing the song Forever Young.
Thank you. Steve was a music lover. I think we all know that. And he was always very kind to me. And I know he loved Bob Dylan, so I'm going to do this Bob Dylan song. May God bless and keep you always. May your wishes all come true. May you always do for others and let others do for you. May you build a ladder to the stars and climb on every rung. May you stay forever young. Forever young. Forever young. May you stay forever. May you grow up to be righteous. May you grow up to be true. May you always know the truth and see the light surrounding you. May you always be courageous, stand upright and be strong. May you stay forever young. Forever young. Forever young. May you stay forever young. May your hands always be busy. May your feet always be swift. May you have a strong foundation when the winds of change shift. May your heart always be joyful, and may your song always be sung, and may you stay forever young. Forever young. Forever young. May you stay forever young. May you stay forever young.
This is Joseph Peroni, and you are back with the From Grief to Relief show. Last week we were talking about existential philosophy, and we're going to continue with some of that today. We finished last time with taking responsibility for your life, and we also went through ways of avoiding responsibility that people do. I'll go over that real quick. Conforming, blind allegiance to, say, political parties or to religions or to other people and institutions. And also, you can avoid responsibility, which is something obviously you don't want to do, taking on the belief that you are powerless, which you hear from a lot of 12-step programs. So as you can tell, I do not believe in 12-step programs, because if you have to buy into the fact that you're powerless, right away, I'm not going to be on board with that. So let's continue with the rest of this. In existentialism, we have a term, we call it existential guilt. Existential guilt comes from evading and avoiding commitments or not making important decisions for your life, which is basically another way of saying letting yourself down. Mm-hmm. So you've probably have gone through some guilt like that too, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So guilt, in this sense, we don't look at guilt as being a bad thing. We think of it as, say, having a conscience. And if you're guilty, probably you should maybe rethink how you did something or didn't do something and try to make a better decision for next time. It's just another word for experience.
Yeah.
That's all. Existential authenticity is to live by your own vision of what a valuable existence is. In other words, not blindly following others. And again, not following just religions because they tell you to, but you have to follow your own heart. Mm-hmm. So that's how you live to be authentic. Not to be little pieces of everybody else around you, such as maybe your mother, what your father wants you to be, what your friends do, what your spouse thinks you should be. Mm-hmm. You know, to live free and to live authentically, you have to answer to your own heart. Another basic dimension of the human condition in existentialism is what we call striving for identity and also striving for your relationship with others. So in other words, you have to be a whole self yourself before you can connect correctly with another human being, which a lot of people don't do. I think, what was that movie? I can't think of it, with Tom Cruise. You know what I'm talking about? Jerry Maguire,
yeah.
When that famous line that everybody likes, that you complete me.
Yeah.
I know it sounds good in a movie, but in real life, in order to have a good relationship, you need to be completed before you throw yourself onto somebody else.
True.
If you're going to connect with another person to help, hopefully that person's going to complete you, that is the wrong way to start a relationship. It shouldn't be two broken pieces or people coming together, hopefully going to put this puzzle together. It should be two complete people who know who they are, what they want out of life, and bring in those two pieces together. Mm-hmm. So they need to be complete whole people. Now, many people, just the way society is, they become a stranger to themselves. And this is because they live their life to live up to others' expectations, and that's just the way our world is. And you have to be okay with being alone at times, because that's how you kind of find out who you really are. Now, there's a difference here. When you're alone, if you're a truly strong person and you know what you want, you're not lonely.
Right.
There's a difference. Some people are they're alone, and that's why they make bad mistakes, and they attach to other people. Or they try to change their reality with substances, right?
Yeah.
So when I'm talking about when being alone, I'm talking about what is called solitude, which is when someone's by themselves, they're comforted. They're okay. They're not in distress.
True.
You know, kind of like a Zen Buddhism thing, solitude.
I like my alone time.
Well, that's good for me, because that means I know that you are probably moving towards being a complete person then. Like, you don't need me to make you happy, right?
No.
Okay.
Not every second.
Like you don't depend on me for your happiness, right?
No.
Because that would be a huge burden on me.
You're,
and I mean to make it just personal, but I mean anybody out there.
You're what do they call that? What's that word?
I don't know. What word do you
An
look for?
embellishment. You're the topping
Okay.
on the top of the ice cream cone
All
or
right.
the cake
All right.
or the
I
earrings
can
or
do that.
necklace.
And those Italian
You're the
ices.
accessory.
Well, I hope a little more than accessory, but I'm a really good one.
You're a really good accessory.
In other words,
I do enjoy my downtime when I'm by myself and you're at school or you're doing your thing. I enjoy my time at home with the dogs, and if sometimes I don't do nothing, and then there's other times I clean my ass off when you're not around it
What?
because I like to do that, and I know you're like it's not whatever. And
So basically, you're saying you're healthy, is what you're
Yeah.
saying. That's you're describing a healthy human being.
yeah,
So if I was over here saying, "Wow, really? You're okay without me?" That would mean that I have a self-esteem problem, right? But see, I'm okay with you being happy without me.
well, you're okay without me. I know.
Well,
you enjoy your time too.
I mean, you could make the statement that I want you and I would prefer you,
me too.
but I don't need you, right?
Right.
I mean, if you said, like, if I was going to, I mean, would you want me to say that I needed you? In other words, every time you left me, I was like a
No.
dog that I could not feed myself. I couldn't
No.
breathe without you, like some of those songs that are really not love songs, by the way.
No, because it's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, and it's not real.
Right.
That's not love. That's like dependence. Do you want a dependent, or do you want somebody to love you?
Right.
Right? So that's what we're talking about here. The human condition. You need to be a full person unto yourself. And then when you are, then you strive to be able to get along out in the real world. So the experience of aloneness is to be able to stand alone, right? And in existential philosophy, we say that is an absolute prerequisite of being a good partner.
Yeah.
All right? If you cannot stand alone, you have no business being in a relationship.
Yeah.
So you agree with that?
Uh-huh.
Really?
We do.
Oh, I didn't have to sell you on that.
You don't have to sell me on that.
All right, you want me to
But
sell
I
you on
wasn't
this?
always like that.
Let me sell you on this. Did you ever hear about the story between the rose bush and the tree?
No.
Do you know how to grow a rose bush and a tree together?
No.
Okay, I'll answer.
Water. Oh.
See, trees typically are tall. Rose bushes are really pretty, but they're short and squatty. Mm-hmm. So what happens is, if the rose bush and the tree really liked each other too much, and you thought they looked better together
Yeah.
instead of a little bit apart, what you would do is you would plant them right next to each other. What would happen is because the tree is really tall, it would take up the sun.
Oh,
The rose bush would never
grow.
get any sun. So the rose bush would never grow because it would not get any sun. So in order for the rose bush to grow, it needs to be a healthy, listen to this now, a healthy distance apart from the tree so they can both grow. And then they could both have a happy life, yes?
Yeah.
I'll give you another one before we move on. I love this poet.
That's a good analogy.
Now, for you Republicans out there, I hate to say this, but Khalil Gibran is one of the greatest poets ever, and he's Middle Eastern, so I know you don't like that whole thing. You know, you want to think that he was born in Alabama. I get it.
Or
you know.
Muslim.
But he's not,
Muslim.
but he probably was. But anyway, he has this poem, and he talks about, how to make beautiful music. And the way you make beautiful music on a guitar, each string has to be the same distance apart. Think about it. If the strings were crossed, no music. If the strings are too close together, the chords they don't sound right. They don't make music. So all the strings need to be the exact same distance apart. When in fact then, when pressed down correctly, you can make a perfect chord. You see how that works?
Yeah.
And with that being said, talking about a chord, we're going to go into a song right now. This song is a great existential song that temporarily brings back to life and honors great musicians that have impacted our lives forever. An existentialist will try to make themselves into the biggest rock they can. Why? In preparation for that final day when their rock hits the water and disappears beneath the surface forever. Hopefully the ripples will last until eternity. The musicians in this song certainly have given it their best shot to do that. This song is by the Righteous Brothers, and the song is called Rock and Roll Heaven. This is Joe Peroni, and you are listening to the From Grief to Relief show. We've got a few minutes left, so let's get back into this. I wanted to ask Heidi this question. Hey, did you know that in France that you're considered to be an absolute total bore of a human being if you can't talk about sex, politics, and religion? Think about that. I just figured I'd throw that in there because it's funny because I'm trying to tie this all in today. When you hear Republicans talk a lot, they always make fun of France. You know, like they said, we're not going to call it French fries. We're going to call it freedom fries. You know, all this kind of stuff because they have this hatred for France because they like finer things.
Right.
But think about how what you said before is that you try to have an honest, open debate with your friends.
You can't.
And you actually, I'm not saying you lost your friends because I don't want to be like that and be mean to you, make you feel bad. But it is true that the ones that I saw this week did not, none of them wrote you back.
No.
Because they did not want to have that debate. Like when you said the stock market when Obama took over was at 6,500. Now it's at about 13,000. That's just a flat out fact. You can't deny that. That's a fact. They didn't even want to discuss that as a thing. Like they couldn't even say it did double, but they could even say, well, it did double, but Obama had nothing to do with it. They could have said that, but they didn't.
No,
they just basically pushed you off to your little island. Like they don't want to talk to you because you didn't drink their Kool-Aid.
Right.
So I was wondering, you know, I mean, I know you feel bad about it, but think about the way they hate
Well, I don't
France.
feel bad. I feel kind of pissed off about it because
You don't hold it. You don't feel bad, but you feel pissed.
because it's like you want to tell me your belief, and you won't let me tell. Like you have a right to your opinion, and I don't. That's not a conversation. That's not dialogue. That's not mature.
Right, and that goes along with the reptilian brain that I was trying to say today too. But also, I think it's interesting how they always dismiss France as being a nothing country.
Right.
When actually in France, if you're at one of the cafes or the coffee shops, they expect you to have an opinion about, and why about religion? Because it's about your value system. It's who you are. Why about politics? Because it's about what you care about and what you think is important.
Right.
It is who you are. Why about sex? Because sex is a big deal about what we are. I mean, you know, right?
Yeah.
And so if you don't want to talk about any of those things, it means that you do not want to have an honest, open conversation with another human being. So is that who we are as Americans? Maybe.
Maybe.
I think that might be true. That's terrible. Also, existentialism, which I'm tying this into, many of the great existentialists are from France, if you can believe that.
Wow.
So they talk about the essence of being a human being, of talking about it, not just the science of it. You know, it's about who you are, your life experiences, and being able to sit down with a therapist and basically just talk about life.
Yeah.
And come to some conclusions. And the therapist doesn't tell you how to run your life. The therapist just points out ways to you to give you a little bit more awareness about your decisions, about what decisions you could make, what decisions you have made. And they kind of help you to help yourself. Or a good therapist will help introduce you to yourself.
Right.
You know, they look at you from a different perspective. Maybe they can see something that you don't see. You know, so they kind of help you to be your best you.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I'm so tied into that type of theory. You know, because I really hate a lot of what we see, or I have watched you go through this week.
Yeah, but you know what? I know, but I kind of set it up that way. I was trying to be a ball buster, and I was. You know, I kind of did. I said, let's see what happens, and it happened. What I thought was going to happen.
Well, you would try and have an honest conversation, and yeah, well,
it's okay.
I'm sorry.
I'm not going to change my point of view. So
you shouldn't.
No.
There's no need to. As we're running out of time here, there's so many things I could talk about with existentialism, and some of the next shows we're going to get to this. I want to eventually talk about the search for meaning and purpose in your life, how meaningless and what we call the existential vacuum, how that affects people. I want to talk about if you don't have meaning in your life, how you can learn to discover, to get meaning. I also want to talk about anxiety, because in temporary counseling, what they do is they try to repress anxiety. They try to get rid of it. They think it's a problem. In existential theory, anxiety is just another condition of living. It's being a human being. It's part of life. It's not something that's supposed to be repressed. It's absolutely unavoidable. And there are what they call the givens of existence, right? And those would be death, freedom, right? You're born to be free, to do whatever you want to do. If you think you're not free, that's your fault.
I think if you don't have a certain amount of anxiety, though, you're kind of dead.
Well, that's true. But see, that's part of the drug part of it, too. They like to put drugs on people to kind of deaden their responses, and that's a bad thing. Okay, so we're going to be talking about that in the maybe next upcoming shows. But right now, I'm going to finish with the song. This is one of the best songs in music history that has not found a home on the radio. It's going to find a home right here. My simple explanation of what this song means to me is this. Every human being is a perfect note in the song of humankind. I'm playing this song for my sister, Lorraine Peroni, who is also a veteran, and we want to thank her for her service in the Army.
Ooh, yay.
My favorite verse, I'm going to read this real quick. We all know success when we all find our own dreams, and our love is enough to knock down any walls. And the future's been seen as men try to realize the simple secret of the note in us all. This is The Who with Pure and Easy from the Odds and Sods album.
I
views and opinions expressed on this program were those of the hosts and guests and did not necessarily reflect those of Vegas All Net Radio, its affiliates, or its parent company.